Today, we're looking closely at something, well, incredibly important for new parents. The breastfeeding journey.
Absolutely.
The reality, for many, can be quite challenging.
That's so true. It's, a natural process, but definitely not always an easy one. Think about this. Reports in pediatrics show that a huge number, like 92% of mothers, run into difficulties with breastfeeding.
92%. Wow.
That's universal, yeah.
That really highlights how common these struggles are. And sadly, these challenges often mean mothers stop breastfeeding earlier than they really wanted to. The stats show, 60% stop sooner than planned?
60%, yeah. And a big chunk, around 20%, stop within the first month just because of these difficulties.
And I gather the number one reason they mention is milk supply issues.
That's it, exactly. Problems with milk supply. It causes so much stress, so much anxiety for new moms in those, really early weeks.
Okay, so in this deep dive, we're going to explore a new solution that's designed to tackle this specific issue head-on. It's called MyLee.
MyLee.
And it's described as a smart system for sensing breast milk. Okay, let's unpack that. What's it actually offering?
Well, MyLee takes a new approach. It brings science-based insights about your milk right into your home. The idea is to give mothers personalized info about their supply.
Right.
So they can feel, more confident, more in control of the whole breastfeeding experience.
So our mission today is really to get under the hood of MyLee, understand how it works, what the potential benefits are, and you mentioned science-based.
Definitely.
So we'll absolutely dig into the science behind it, too.
That's good. Let's start with how it actually works. How a mother gets these insights. It's basically a 4-step process. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, walk us through it. Step 1.
Step 1, collect. Super simple. Just collect a tiny sample of milk. We're talking like 6 drops.
6 drops, that's it.
Yep, just 6 drops expressed right into these little wells.
Okay, 6 drops really underlines the convenience, especially, when you're juggling a newborn. So step 2.
Step 2 is scan. You put the MyLee device onto the wells with the milk, and then you just use the MyLee app on your phone to start the scan.
And it's quick.
Very quick. The analysis happens fast.
Right, almost instant results at home. That sounds incredibly useful in those early days. So much uncertainty then. What's step 3?
Step 3 is analyze. The app shows you, in a really easy-to-understand way, if your milk supply seems to be sort of progressing as expected for that specific day postpartum.
And then the crucial part, what do you do with that info? That's step 4, act.
Exactly. Step 4 is act. Based on what the analysis shows, the app gives you personalized guidance, tips designed to help you optimize your supply, your breastfeeding practices.
Okay.
And there's actually a 5th step too, Share. You can generate a report really easily.
To share with a lactation consultant?
Yep. Or your doctor or anyone you're working with. Makes it easy to keep everyone in the loop.
Okay, so right off the bat, the speed, the convenience, getting this info at home.
Yeah.
Seems like a big plus. Let's dig into the specific benefits MyLee talks about. First one is visualizing milk supply. How does it make that visible?
Yeah, this is really interesting. MyLee lets mothers actually see the changes in their milk during those first few weeks. That shift from the early colostrum to mature milk.
Right.
Seeing that progression tracked day by day visually, it can be so powerful. It helps tackle that huge worry. Am I making enough?
Takes away some guesswork.
Exactly. It can help fight off those anxieties that might otherwise lead you to supplement too early, maybe unnecessarily.
Yeah, that uncertainty is a major stressor. Okay, next benefit, stopping breastfeeding problems early. How does MyLee help with being proactive?
Well, if MyLee picks up on subtle signs that might point to potential issues, like, say, early indicators of breastfeeding maybe not being super efficient, which could affect supply down the line, or maybe initial signals linked to discomfort, potential inflammation, or even if one breast seems to be lagging behind the other in supply.
Right, uneven supply.
Yeah, it gives you guidance on things you can try, steps you can take to address these things proactively. The idea is early awareness, early management to hopefully stop bigger problems from developing.
So it's not just here's what's happening, but here's maybe what you can do about it. That's valuable.
Definitely. Empowering.
And the next benefit ties into that. Relax with confidence. It sounds like just having better info reduces stress.
Precisely. I mean, just knowing that your milk production, that whole establishment process is kind of on track, that can provide such a huge sense of reassurance.
Yeah.
Especially during a time that's often, full of self-doubt and worry. That peace of mind is invaluable, really, for both mom and baby.
For sure. Now, this next one's interesting, preparing during pregnancy. How can it help before the baby even arrives?
Well, MyLee offers resources, tips, things to help you prepare for breastfeeding, aiming for a smoother start. You can actually get the device while you're pregnant, have it ready to go in your hospital bag.
Right.
And because it only needs those few drops, you could potentially start tracking right from day one, even with that really early colostrum, the stuff produced even before birth sometimes.
Wow, that is proactive.
Oh,
Okay, so that's what MyLee aims to do. But what about real-world experiences? We have some testimonials, right, from moms and professionals.
we do, yeah. One mother called it amazing, very informative, and easy to use. Interestingly, she actually started using it after her mature milk was already in, and it confirmed that for her.
Right.
But she's training to be an IDCLC, a lactation consultant, and she said she expects it to be incredibly helpful for her future clients. That's a pretty strong endorsement from someone going into the field.
Absolutely. And another.
Another, a first-time mom, just found it very useful and helpful throughout her journey and said the app was simple to use.
Good to hear.
And then an experienced mom, she highlighted how accurate the daily tips felt. But what's really striking is she said the system actually identified an episode of inflammation in her breast.
Whoa, okay, that's specific. That really shows a practical application.
Yeah, a concrete example. And we also have feedback from lactation consultants themselves. What's their take?
Right, the professionals.
Overwhelmingly positive, it seems. They see it as a valuable tool for reassuring mothers, for objectively reflecting what's going on with milk production.
Like having actual numbers.
Exactly, providing a numerical indicator, which can be super helpful in their assessments. One consultant apparently called it science fiction that became a reality.
Wow, high praise.
And specifically liked the weight gain tracking feature, too. They also mentioned it helps support their evaluations and lets them create more targeted, effective plans for moms.
So it sounds like it's useful not just for the mom at home, but also as a tool for the professional supporting her.
That seems to be the feedback, yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears now and really dive into the science. We're focusing on the info from their science page. What's the core scientific idea MyLee is based on?
Well, the really interesting thing is that MyLee senses specific properties within the breast milk itself, properties that are linked to that natural, crucial transition from colostrum to mature milk.
Okay.
And this transition, it reflects how breastfeeding is getting established, how efficiently milk is being transferred, and the overall supply. So by looking at these milk properties, MyLee can spot early patterns in this whole dynamic process right from the very first days.
And how does it actually measure these properties? What's it looking for?
Specifically, it measures milk electrolytes.
Electrolytes, like in sports drinks.
Sort of, yeah. Essentially, minerals dissolved in the milk, which affect its electrochemical properties. The levels of these electrolytes can give important clues about, say, potential delays in milk coming in or other challenges.
Huh. So it's like a little snapshot of the milk's composition.
Pretty much, yeah. And that snapshot tells us a lot about how things are progressing.
So tell us about the tech. How do they do this in a handheld device?
Right. So the core is this patented handheld device. It has a dual sensor system inside, specifically designed to accurately measure the conductivity of that tiny milk sample.
Conductivity.
Then that data gets sent straight to the smartphone app, and the app uses these proprietary algorithms, basically smart formulas,
Developed how?
developed by analyzing tons and tons of milk data. Thousands of samples. These algorithms process your specific results and show them to you in a clear, user-friendly way.
And I see notes here about a U.S. patent, a PCP application,
Yeah.
that does suggest something unique is going on there.
Yeah, it points to the novelty of the technology.
What about accuracy, reliability? Can
Yeah.
you trust the measurements?
They state it's gone through extensive testing and validation, rigorous checks for things like linearity, precision, accuracy, repeatability.
Standard lab stuff.
Exactly. And importantly, they did this not just with standard lab solutions, but with actual breast milk samples. And they even compared the MyLee results against lab-grade analyzers to make sure it's dependable.
Okay, good to know. Now let's talk about this milk maturation percent. This seems like a key metric MyLee provides. What does it actually tell a mom?
Right, the milk maturation percent. It's described as a novel way to track the progress of something called secretory activation.
Secretory activation.
Yeah, it's basically your body shifting gears, moving from making that early concentrated colostrum to producing larger volumes of mature milk. Think of it like the milk factory fully ramping up.
Okay, makes sense.
Now, it's really important to understand this percentage doesn't reflect milk quality in terms of, say, nutritional completeness. all breast milk is good.
Right.
But it does generally correlate with the baby's weight gain and whether they can breastfeed exclusively. A lower percentage just means you're earlier in the process of establishing your full supply.
And the goal is to see that percentage rise over the first few weeks.
Typically, yeah. Full maturation usually happens within the first 2 to 3 weeks.
So how is this percentage calculated from that little milk sample?
So for each scan, the app calculates this milk maturation percent from 0% for pure colostrum up to 100% for fully mature milk. It does this based on the electrical conductance of the milk.
Conductivity again.
Exactly. And then it compares that reading against this huge proprietary data set they've built from thousands of milk samples collected over the first 6 months postpartum. It's like comparing your sample to a massive reference library.
A benchmark.
And they use colors to make it easy to grasp.
Yep, color coding. Green means your result is above average compared to their benchmarks for that specific day after birth. Orange suggests it's below average.
And orange doesn't automatically mean panic stations. No, not at all. It's framed as more of an indication that there might be an opportunity, to be proactive, maybe give your supply a little boost, or look into why it might be lagging slightly.
Got it. And besides the colors, there are text insights too. What do they cover?
The text insights give a bit more detail. Things related maybe to overall supply, potential imbalance between breasts, or maybe signs of restricted milk flow, which might suggest looking at milk removal techniques.
So prompts for things to consider or discuss with a professional.
Exactly. Again, it's not diagnosing anything, but offering useful info about key breastfeeding aspects that might warrant attention.
And there's this day from birth prediction feature. What's that about?
Yeah, based on your milk sample, the system estimates which postpartum day your milk looks most like according to their big data set. So it helps you see if your maturation seems to be progressing typically, or if it's maybe a bit slower or even faster than average. It can really highlight if there's a potential delay.
And it sounds like the more you use it, the more data you input, like feeding frequency, baby's weight, etc., the smarter it gets.
That's the idea, yeah. The potential is there for even more personalized insights by factoring in things like feeding frequency, duration, any breast discomfort, baby's diaper output, weight gain patterns, building a more holistic picture.
A richer view of the whole breastfeeding dynamic.
Exactly.
And this isn't static, right? The science, the algorithms, they're still evolving.
That's right. It's designed to learn. The real-world data from users, plus feedback from lactation consultants, it's all continuously analyzed to improve the algorithms, deepen the scientific understanding.
And they're doing active research, too.
Yes, ongoing collaborations with places like UCSF, Dr. Abigail Navarro at Seed Lab, focusing on areas like low milk supply, developing more personalized tracking.
And we see publications mention BMC pregnancy and childbirth, JMIR pediatrics and parenting. That definitely adds weight to the scientific validation.
It really does. It shows that they're putting the work out there for peer review.
Okay, let's tackle some common questions people might have. First off, who's this really for? Who benefits most?
Well, according to their site, it's really designed for all breastfeeding mothers.
First time or experienced?
Both. Whether you're a first-timer figuring things out or you've done it before but want more insight this time around. It helps monitor production, spot potential imbalances, offers that personalized guidance, basically aiming for a more informed, hopefully more successful journey.
And when should you start using it?
Ideally, as soon as possible after birth. Get those early insights. You can download the app right away. And like we said, it can even analyze that very early prenatal colostrum, so you could even start getting familiar before baby arrives.
And just to recap clearly, what exactly is it testing in the milk?
It's sensing those properties linked to the transition from colostrum to mature milk. These act as indicators for how well breastfeeding is getting established, milk transfer efficiency, and overall supply.
Okay. And we covered the scientific validation, peer-reviewed pubs. But the big question for many moms, can MyLee actually increase my milk supply?
Right. It doesn't directly increase supply itself like a magic wand, but it's a tool to help you monitor and understand your production through those maturation insights.
So it empowers you to take action.
Exactly. The information and personalized guidance can help you optimize your practices, which can help you establish and maintain a healthy supply. It's about informed action.
What about clogged ducts? That's a common worry. Can MyLee help there?
Well, by tracking trends in your milk patterns, it might help spot early signs or provide insights related to milk stasis, milk not moving effectively,
Which can lead to clogs.
which can sometimes lead to clogs or even mastitis if not addressed. So it provides recommendations around managing that. But, and this is crucial, if you suspect a clogged duct, you absolutely need to talk to a lactation consultant or your healthcare provider.
Right. MyLee is a tool, not a doctor.
Precisely. It's for monitoring and guidance, not diagnosis or treatment.
Got it. What about paying for it? FHHSA funds.
Yes, generally because it's a product specifically to aid breastfeeding, it's typically eligible.
Good to know.
Always best to double check your specific plan, of course, but usually yes.
How often should you use it, especially early on?
You can use it multiple times a day. Each scan is a snapshot. Daily scans can be really useful in those first few weeks when supply is establishing. After that, you can use it as often as feels right for you to monitor things over time.
And how long do you need it for? The whole journey.
It's designed to support you for the entire time you breastfeed, yeah. Starting early gives you that personalized tracking over your unique experience for as long as you choose.
Okay, and what about moms who are exclusively pumping? Or supplementing with formula? Is it still useful?
Yes, absolutely. For exclusive pumpers, it's a great way to track production and maturation. Even if you're supplementing, it can still give you insights into your own milk production patterns.
Right.
Obviously, experts usually advise establishing breastfeeding well before introducing formula if possible to support natural production. But yeah, MyLee can still provide useful info in different feeding situations.
That covers a lot of the practical stuff. Let's touch briefly on the story behind MyLee. What sparks the idea?
It really came from the founder's own personal experiences. As breastfeeding moms themselves, they hit unexpected bumps, low supply, pain, inflammation.
The common struggles we talked about.
Exactly. They realized that this thing often portrayed as totally natural and easy can actually be really frustrating, really anxiety-inducing. And that personal experience drove them to find a better way to support moms.
And their backgrounds helped shape the solution. They have science PhDs.
Yes, both have PhDs in life sciences, lots of research experience. They saw that human milk itself holds so much valuable data that could be used for a more proactive, personalized approach to breastfeeding support.
Which led to MyMilk
Right. They set up MyMilk, the first clinical standard lab focused specifically on analyzing human milk in depth.
So years of groundwork before MyLee itself.
Oh, yeah. 5 years, processing thousands and thousands of milk samples in their lab. Only then did they start the R&D for MyLee, aiming to create the first at-home system using this kind of advanced milk sensing.
Bringing lab insights home.
That was the vision. And it wasn't quick. It involved getting the patent, certifications, publishing the science.
And working with moms and consultants.
Definitely. Lots of collaboration, testing prototypes, refining it based on real-world feedback to make sure it was reliable and genuinely useful.
So the ultimate goal driving all this?
Fundamentally, it's about empowering mothers, giving them access to the information hidden in their own milk, helping them navigate challenges, and ultimately feel confident feeding their babies, supporting their unique journeys.
Okay, so summing up our deep dive today, MyLee presents this new science-backed way for new moms to understand their milk supply, see how breastfeeding is establishing.
Right.
It offers these valuable personalized insights, support right when you need it in your own home.
Perfectly put. Breastfeeding is natural, but like we said, it's not always easy. MyLee seems designed to make it more informed, less guessworky, and hopefully give moms more confidence, more peace of mind.
Exactly. And on that note, here's a final thought for you, our listener, to consider. Imagine having that real-time personalized data about your own breast milk right there on your phone. How might that fundamentally change those early days, maybe even your entire breastfeeding journey? If you're intrigued by a more data-driven approach, maybe explore the science behind MyLee and the product itself a bit more. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.